All right, so I just started BuzzKill yesterday. Here I am already ready to get back at it and drop some more. All right, so it's day 2. Yesterday I talked about the Super Bowl. I'm talking about the Super Bowl and all that stuff. Super Bowl halftime show specifically. Now it looks like Dr. Dre came out and said some things about the Super Bowl. I don't know if he was necessarily maybe co-signing for the NFL, or I don't know if maybe what he was saying was true. But I guess TMZ caught up with him, and he has some things to say. I think actually I'm gonna play it. Let's see if I can play it on here. Play it on.
Why doesn't every home in the U.S. have solar panels?
Don't.
Number one.
All right, here it comes. It's coming. We gotta skip it. All right, skip more ads. I'm not gonna say we're gonna listen to that, but it's pretty obvious.
There are a couple things that happened during the show that where people are wondering if the NFL had any say-so in this. One of them being M taking a knee behind you at that point, and then the other being that Kendrick didn't say it or it was censored. We couldn't tell watching on TV, but there's a line where he says, "We hate the popo," and he didn't say popo, or at least we didn't hear it. Did the NFL weigh in on any of that?
Well, I'm sorry. There were a few things that we had to change, but it was like really minor things. M taking a knee, that was M doing that on his own, and there was no problem with that. I think.
All right, hold on. So what does that mean? That was M doing that on his own. Does that mean the rest of you didn't want any part of that, so that it wouldn't fall back on you? That's really awkward how he said that. But nobody, they didn't have a problem with that. The NFL, I guess, didn't have a problem with him doing that. That was him doing that on his own. So did he get prior approval before he actually did it? I don't know. That's confusing. But all right, I'm gonna shut up and I'm gonna let him finish up.
The beginning of Kendrick's set, he says if Pyrus and Crips, they had a problem with that, so we had to take that out. No big deal, we get it. But all in all, everybody came in, we were professional, everybody was on time, and everybody really felt.
All right, now that's funny. Everybody was on time. Man, if you come late to the Super Bowl, I mean, come on. I mean, it's at halftime, like, you're gonna be late. Like, you're going to be halfway through the show and then somebody just show up late. Like, come on, you better be on time. Like, that should be automatic to me. I don't know. When you watch the verses and stuff, they always late as hell. They show up when they feel like it. They get on stage when they feel like it. That's just a thing with rappers. Now, this is funny because I remember one time I think Snoop came to my city and he took until it was after 1 o'clock in the morning when he actually came out. And they ended up, I think a lawsuit got filed against Snoop because he didn't come out or something like that. But whatever it was, I don't even think they had the money to pay him, and they was probably waiting for the money to come before they paid him or something like that. I don't know, I guess that kind of stuff happens. So Snoop didn't come out. Every rap concert I go to, they come out super, super late. If you watch all those versus things, like the show don't start until like 9, 10 o'clock. It was like, people got stuff to do tomorrow. You're supposed to sit up all night and watch this versus shit when you gotta get up and go to work, but that's neither here nor there. But it's funny, he would say everybody was there on time. Like, hey, y'all gonna be late? Oh, rappers. Shit. All right, go ahead, Dre.
The magnitude of what this thing was and what we were going to be able to accomplish. And it was a fantastic experience.
We actually were going to put you at the top of the show, but you weren't available because I'm told, you wanted to make a Burger King run because you hadn't had Burger King in so long because you wanted to be in shape for the show.
You know what? My trainer is gonna.
Why is that so funny? That's not hilarious to me, but whatever. Dr. Dre went to Burger King. Who cares?
Upset about this conversation. And by the way, Harvey, it wasn't. I made a turn. Instead of Burger King, I went to McDonald's. There's something about those McDonald's French fries.
The fries, right.
Those fries.
People, how many people
you know,
have
I'm
been there?
like, you know, I deserve it today. I'm gonna treat myself and go in the pig out today.
That is hysterical.
I think no one's gonna. You definitely earned that, man. Have all the McDonald's you want. You could have had both. Have McDonald's and Burger King.
Hey,
Right.
just real quick, what did everybody else say? What did Mary J. Blige? What did Eminem? What did Snoop? What did they say to you? How did they react afterward?
Let me tell you, man, everybody was extremely excited, you know. Mary came back here to the house last night, and we went downstairs to the studio. She was playing these samples, and we were just vibing out because, you know, we're talking about working together on her next project. I'm not even sure if I'm supposed to be saying this or not, so I'm sorry, Mary. But you know, I'm excited about it. We're talking about working on her next project, and we were downstairs having a ton of fun, man. Just listening to samples and music, and you know, playing around like that, and you know.
All right. So anyway, that was like a bunch of nothing. So he didn't actually say anything. He didn't give any point of views. Like I see it, you know, Dr. Dre didn't really say much. He gave very safe answers. He was very politically correct. He didn't step on the NFL's toes, so they may invite him back one year to do it again. He said we were very professional. Everybody got along pretty good. So, hey, that's good for them, man. You know, all power to them. Glad it went well. So, moving on. This is another day. It's time to move on. Let's go on to better topics. All right, so right now we're in the middle of February. Actually, nah, it's a little later in the middle because it's only 28 days. So, yeah, past the middle of February. It's Black History Month. Black History Month. Month of February. I gotta address the elephant in the room. I mean, here comes the BuzzKill. All right, so here we are in Black History Month, and the big thing going on over across America over the last month or so has been a thing called CRT, critical race theory. Gotta talk about critical race theory. What is critical race theory? I don't actually have a real definition for it because I really don't give it a whole lot of credence. But a lot of, I guess I'll say right-wing politicians are saying that critical race theory is being studied in schools and it makes white people feel bad about certain elements of history, having certain perspectives on history, like saying that the Civil War in the South, or you know, the Confederacy were in the wrong, or saying slavery was a bad thing. They don't like that. They don't think you should take a side. They think you should let the kids decide who was right and who was wrong. So in a lot of states, politicians are trying to ban the study of critical race theory. Let me just go over this. All right, so I looked up what is critical race theory. This is the Google definition. It says the 5 tenets of CRT. There are 5 major components or tenets of CRT. The notion that racism is ordinary and not aberrational. The idea of an interest convergence, the social construction of race, the idea of storytelling and counter-storytelling, and the notion that whites actually have been, where'd it go? Where's the rest of it? All right, I didn't get any more. That's, they cut it off on me. All right, so let me just hit that first part of the 5 tenets, even though I don't know what the rest of the 5th tenet is even going to be. First tenet, the notion that racism is ordinary and not an aberration. Now that's funny. I like that word, aberration. Because people like to say that racism doesn't exist. White supremacy has ended. It's over. It's a figment of your imagination to think that everything isn't equal on all parts and everybody has the same opportunities that everybody has. And we're all equal and blah, blah, blah. Please spare me. Here's some other stuff. A method of storytelling, or method of telling a story that aims to cast doubt on the validity of accepted premises or myths, especially ones held by the majority. I guess just a lot of different elements and stuff, but I'm not gonna get into all that. I'm gonna keep it on the first thing I said. The aberration. It's a figment of your imagination. Is racism real? Does it really exist? Are all people who say racism is a real thing tripping? Are we all just lying and making this shit up? Is it is it totally impossible that anybody could be a racist in America? Because racism ended one day, which nobody can tell you what day it was. But that in conjunction with Black History Month, it's like, all right, so if we're not going to be telling certain elements of history, then what are we doing with a Black History Month? At that point, it kind of makes Black History Month pointless and useless, because the reason you have Black History Month is to give people, all people, not necessarily just black people, all people, some information so that they know more about their history. So it's almost like this critical race theory is just like a spit in the face of Black History Month. The big issue is that Black history was never taught. Perspectives of black people were never mentioned historically. And I guess you're talking from a school perspective. But black kids never knew their history. White people didn't know black people's role in America. I think they still don't know. I think they gotta understand. You can't live in America and not see that there's this element of racism. There's this element of white supremacy, of one group on the top, one group on the bottom. You can't miss that. You gotta be blind as a bat. Even Stevie Wonder sees that, you know. So people are trying to play you like it doesn't exist. You know, it's an aberration. Please. I'm not even gonna lie. The idea of an interest convergence, I don't even know what that means. I can't even deconstruct that. Social construction of race. Of course, there's a social construction of race. But they want to ban this. Maybe they don't like the idea of an interest convergence. I don't know. But there is a social and construction of race in America. That's obvious. As soon as you look at the census, they ask you, what race are you? What ethnicity? So the notion of it being racism being aberration, it's not an aberration, is what this CRT definition says. Social construction of race. Of course, there's a social construction of race. The idea of storytelling and counter storytelling. Now, that I don't quite understand what they're saying, but I think what they're getting is like, we're telling it one way and then the truth is another way. This is our story, we're sticking to it, but it's not actually what happened. Maybe something to that effect. And the notion that whites have actually been, I don't know, probably privileged or something like that is probably the fifth element. But I get it. It doesn't make certain people feel good. Whatever, you know, who cares? But the thing I want to talk about was basically Black History Month, though. We're not having the greatest of a Black History Month. So far, you look at Amir Locke on February 2nd. Amir Locke, police ran in his house, killed him. That's causing some problems in certain parts of the country. You got the issue with the strange dichotomy of Whoopi Goldberg and Joe Rogan, where Whoopi Goldberg says something in regards to race. It's not necessarily black or anything, but she said something in regards to race, and she gets suspended from her job. And Joe Rogan said what he said. You know, he's said these racially charged points of view and jokes, which aren't funny, over the past decade or more. And Joe Rogan, like, nothing's gonna happen to him, and Whoopi Goldberg, like, is mad because she got suspended from The View for a couple of weeks. I don't know how much money that cost her, but it's probably a pretty hefty bag. But yeah, Black History Month is, you're not seeing a whole lot of black history. You're not seeing a whole lot of pandering to black people like you did last year. because, you know, last year and the year before that, you're on maybe last year most, because you had that whole element of George Floyd, and America was coming to its senses, and we were getting better. I don't know. Something happened. I guess Chauvin got convicted. And that was the last you heard of that. They don't talk about that anymore. Now, one thing I did want to talk about was this Fat Joe and Joe Rogan. Fat Joe versus Joe Rogan. Fat Joe said that Joe Rogan was a piece of excrement, a piece of it, with the shh in the front of it, for what he said in regards to, or the video that came out, because he said nigga so many times. Fat Joe said this. He doesn't appreciate Joe Rogan talking like that. How dare he use such language? When Fat Joe uses such language. Now, this is one of those things where who can say it, who can't say it. I'd like to know, can Fat Joe say it? Yeah, I get it. He grew up around black people. He's Puerto Rican. Puerto Ricans, for the most part, are people of color. You know, well, I guess, I don't like to use that word. Puerto Ricans are really, for the most part, black. Because they had slavery, they had black people. I think the black people, you know, intermingled with the white people. And that's why you got different skin complexions and all that stuff. And then they were conquered probably by the Spanish. So they speak Spanish, you know, Spanish speaking. They're probably classified as Latino or something like that. So, now this is crazy. I probably am not the person that should be talking about race, because I don't have the most vast knowledge of different nationalities and ethnicities. But one thing I do know, a lot of Puerto Rican people don't consider themselves black. I think Fat Joe is one of those kind that, you know, I think he considers himself black. I assume. But a lot of Puerto Ricans don't consider themselves black. They consider themselves Puerto Rican like they're a whole another thing. They don't call themselves white. They'll probably classify as white if you had to ask, you know, if they had to say something. But that is crazy though. Fat Joe says nigga until the cows come home. Nobody says nigga more than Fat Joe. Not hardly. Not a lot of black people say nigga more than Fat Joe. But do you consider Puerto Ricans considered black? I don't know. But I'm wondering, maybe Fat Joe shouldn't be saying it. Maybe just out of respect. It's like, maybe a lot of people just shouldn't be saying it. I look at somebody like a Drake. I remember the first time I went to Canada, and all these people, they all say nigga, and that kind of blew me away. It's like, dang, they say nigga outside of the United States of America? I thought that was an American thing where people would just say nigga, but it's like, you know, they call you nigga and stuff. It's like, kind of made me uncomfortable. Because I knew these weren't Americans. I knew these weren't black Americans. And that's who, you know, that's who they made the word for. It was black Americans. I don't know that they call people, you know, niggers in Puerto Rico and Cuba, Jamaica, Haiti. I don't know if that element of racism or that vocal type of racism existed in those places. I don't know. If that's the case, then, you know, I guess you wouldn't really have a problem with them saying it. I don't know if that's their history or not, though. But I do kind of have an issue with with Fat Joe saying that. I don't know, like a lot of people were saying that it sounds hypocritical for him to criticize Joe Rogan for saying it, and he says it all the time. Yeah, I don't know if that's anybody's place to say so, because I don't know what his upbringing is. I don't know who his parents are or whatever. I don't know that much about Fat Joe's lineage. But I do know he does rep Puerto Rico. I don't know if he's half Puerto Rican or, you know, I don't know about any of that. So I'm not going to say whether he can or he can't, but I'd like to know why he has to say it so much, though. It's like, I think a lot of us could stand to take the word out of our vocabulary. I don't see like why people have to be so intent on keeping that word. We gotta say nigga. I ain't gotta say it. You don't have to say it. Joe Rogan, like I was saying it in context, so I had to say it. You didn't have to say it. You chose to say it. You knew you shouldn't say it, but you figured you could get away with saying it. And maybe he did get away with saying it. He had to apologize. Oh, it's so embarrassing. It's the most embarrassing moment of my life. I have to apologize. Get over yourself, Joseph. But I don't know. It's Black History Month. I don't know if this has been the greatest of Black History Months so far. If you want to look at the Super Bowl halftime show as a victory, go ahead, I guess. I'm trying to think of anything else that's gone on in the area of Black History Month that is, could make black people feel proud about it. Not much has happened though, so we'll leave it at that though. That's my BuzzKill for today. It's very short and sweet and got straight to the point. And now I'm gonna get up out of here because I got other things to do, you know what I'm saying? So, all right, I'm out of here. Goodbye. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.